Oh, thank you, Matt. So as I was saying, I was it was over vacation, and I felt like just because I'm with my family and sort of on vacation myself, that people like Alejandro Mayorkas and Chris Ray didn't deserve to be on vacation. They still deserve to be dragged out and in front of millions of eyeballs. So I streamed and I streamed and I streamed, and I think YouTube did not like that. Or so that's option A is I streamed too much, what would they say is faceless stuff where I'm just streaming the hearings. That could have been how I ran afoul of the YouTube algo, or it could have been the Andrew Cuomo hearing, where they discussed what, the nursing home scandal from the what, and it was just like a huge drop off. I don't think I think I'm in a little bit of a timeout here, but we still gotta, the show must go on. Huh? There's been a lot of not great news. I've been following. I suggest turning on post notifications on X for Sean Ryan, the former CIA contractor slash SEAL operator. He's had a lot of good information come out since the terrorist attacks on the first. Yeah, I'm reading some of his tweets right now. He had Sarah Adams, another CIA analyst, on his podcast, and they were discussing, this is in 2024, and she was saying, yeah, 2025 is going to be kind of crazy for the reasons that we're already seeing. I don't know if you've seen that. Check it out. Bernie Sanders. Let's see. The Hawk. I was going to prank you and say something stupid like Bernie Sanders was in the chat. Okay. Interesting mentioning of Bernie Sanders. Allegedly, the Trump hotel Cybertruck veteran turned terrorist was a Bernie Sanders guy himself. At some point, the story changes and he's a Trump guy. But allegedly, back in 2016, him and his then wife, looks like we're getting something going on here, maybe. His then wife were Bernie Sanders supporters. So, what to make of all of it? Have you guys, the Hawk, you might be on top of this, Matt. I'm not sure if you've heard anything, but the nexus of all this, it seems to be like Fort Bragg. Seems to be where all these guys come from in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Never been. I was not a Fort Bragg guy. Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri was where I would go to when I would go somewhere. Surprisingly good. What's the avocado? Uh, yeah, guacamole. You wouldn't expect good guacamole in the middle of Missouri, but Missouri has come to pleasantly surprise me in several different ways, shapes, and forms. For instance, you get Hawley out of Missouri, a bunch of other good lawyers out of Missouri. Why are there so many good? Why are there so many good lawyers that come out of Missouri? What is that about? I don't know, guys. This thing's gonna happen soon. I can feel it in my bones. Let's see. Let's see where the X Twitter of it all is. I think I need to. Oh, you can. So Massey's giving out debt badges. That's hilarious. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Massey lately. He had a great interview. Was it last night or the night before? He lost the glasses and grew a 5 o'clock shadow. He looks like a man's man now. It doesn't look like the same Massey. I hope he keeps that up. I like it. It makes me like him more. Okay. C-SPAN is claiming that stuff has gone live, but let's go and see what C-SPAN's even. No, let's not. Let's not, and wait for the ad, and then skip ad, and so they just have like a feed of the four. We can put this on somewhere. Figure this one out real quick for you. Let's see. They're just talking, chatting it up. Too soon. Single now. Oh, yeah, too soon, Matt. Jeez. Let's see if I can get a little bit of a window in here. It looks like they're doing no. Oh yeah, I turned the auto refresher on every 10 seconds. That's what's going on. I wasn't sure. What have I done? I'm rusty too. I'm very rusty here. Media file or window capture, I guess. And we're gonna say it's a new window capture one. And then we're gonna try to get C-SPAN. Okay. Bear with me. As I iron out so here's what we'll do for now. Oh, I messed up. There we go. We're struggling. I think I know how to make this work. All right. If you're wondering what they're saying, it's just like the South Park thing, like rabble, 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 rabble. All right, let me get back to the chat. There we are. We wanted a taser for Christmas. Matt, your 7-year-old wanted a taser for Christmas. I don't know whether to be proud or concerned. Be proud. The kids know what's going on in the world right now, and they want protection just as much as us adults do. So I'm proud. I'm proud for you. Did you see the video floating around? There's like a 9-year-old double fisting like Glocks and go boom, 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 boom. What was even that short? What was short? I don't even know. Let's see. So right, they're just chatting it up. Johnson's hamming it up for some pictures. What was even that short? Oh gosh. Okay, Alex, I think I know what you're talking about. I put out a short this morning of Fort Bragg's YouTube channel for their PSYOP program. And it's disturbing. It seems like they're the ones pulling the strings. If all the world's the stage and all these soldiers are going to Fort Bragg for some reason, and we're talking about the 2 soldiers who were involved in the January 1st attacks, and then we're also talking about Ryan Ruth, who's at Fort Bragg a bunch. We must get a yes. Okay. I think it's going to happen this year. I think the mug will happen. I hope. I'm getting more confident as I see, there's more kind of caricature merch out there of congressmen, congresswomen. Mrs. Dave the lawyer may be covering. I have to go pick up my oldest daughter. She is at grandma's house. That is at 2. I have to leave at 1 to make it happen. Hopefully they get this thing underway before that. The speaker announced the House. Okay. Now adjourned, signed. Okay, so they adjourned the House. The 118th Congress has been adjourned, I believe. And now the 119th Congress is going to, I don't know if they're being sworn in. They're sworn in. But soon enough, this is going to turn into a vote for the speaker. And, I mean, all the projections are assuming that Johnson's going to hold on to the gavel. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was on the screen just now, took to Twitter last night and said, like it or not, this is probably going to happen. It's what Trump wants, and there's a mandate. Who else have I heard? Massey took a poll on Twitter, and he's saying that he's probably not going to vote for Johnson because it's not what the people want. And then Jordan was on the news this morning saying it looks like it's gonna be Johnson. So all but certain, I think. I think there's only a few Republicans that are gonna vote against him. Mm. Any any surprise? So we had in the last Congress, I believe, or something. Matt Gaetz voted for Donald Trump to be Speaker. Or is there anything else, any ideas like that out there? Is there going to be any surprise votes for Elon Musk? Let's say. Why is the top part of the video not clear? Oh, probably C-SPAN. Am I able to ramp that up? Yeah. So it's at 270p right now, stock. I just put it to 576p. There, it should be a little clearer, Alex. I don't know why it's defaulted to the lowest. I mean, that's C-SPAN, right? Hey, how you doing? Matt Gooney still sounds bad. Get them to poll 22. That's hilarious. Yes, iron sights are quite a skill to have. I use iron sights. And it's mostly because I don't want to get jacked in the forehead with a scope. Because that's happened. That's happened. You get excited, you're in the moment, and all of a sudden you're too close to the scope, and next thing you know it, you're concussed and bleeding. Iron sights for life. And some, I have a 30-30 lever action with iron sights. It's just deadly accurate right out of the box. Yeah, it doesn't just look nasty, Daniel. It's also it's a mark of shame. Everybody knows what that little cut right there, a little kind of a section of a C, you might say. Oh, very, very shameful. But I did take down the sow. There was a hog. I was hungry, and we ate. It was good eating for about a year. So a little bit of shame, a little bit of pride. Cancel. Yes, it's crescent shaped. That's what it was, Daniel. Crescent shaped cut. It happens. It happens. MTG chatting it up with Johnson. C-SPAN just C-SPAN just doing the talk. I guess what's what I'm doing right now is a talking head thing. As our correspondent in the Sunshine State, what is DeSantis' path to the White House? He has a Senate appointment coming up. Yes, I know. And I have to assume, he has his favorites. People love DeSantis who don't live in Florida. But what they don't know is he has a little bit of a special interest problem. I'm assuming that seat's going to go to somebody. Rod Blagojevich got in trouble for selling the seat to the highest bidder, and he really didn't. It was like a setup. I don't know if you watched the Rogan episode. But, yeah. She will make it. She'll be on the mug. So I think DeSantis is probably going to give it to somebody, obviously somebody he likes, but somebody who he's been doing business with more or less for the past few years. He basically asks the developers, the special interest groups, who's the guy? Who do I put forth? Or, it seems like what he comes up with every time. In local races around here, when there's a vacancy in the school board or there's a vacancy in the county commission, it goes to a special interest group. Unfortunately, he's not a he's a common sense guy, right? Great, let's say, wartime leader during COVID, but big special interest problem, unfortunately. I guess, that's the way of the world. If you're not Donald Trump or Elon Musk, you're going to need to ask for money, What is this about? So this is about the last Congress, which was the 118th Congress, and it looks like something's about to happen. Let's see if I can refresh, and we're going to get something here. No, not quite. quite yet. What? I think I might have to just turn on the. I'm just getting like a bit of a. What do you call that? White noise? Yeah, yes, that's right, Matt. You are from that area. So I don't know if you did you watch the Rogan with him on it? Oh, look at Massey. I don't know if you see. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oops. It's the first time I've seen her since the election, I think. And back to the rabble, 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 rabble of it all. All right. Okay. Okay. So we've had some new members sworn in. I can't figure out why they're not putting this on the official website here. Am I in the wrong place? This is wild, right? The House of Representatives. It's you have to go to the C-SPAN of it all. It looks like they're bringing them in groups and swearing them in. What is happening is the question, Alex. Yes, they're swearing in people, groups. I can't exactly tell if we're talking about the Senate. I want to say I need a closer look. Yeah, that's this. Is that? Okay, Senate. There's Bernie, Mike Lee, Rick Scott. I know, dude. Of course he did. I need to figure that move out. Okay. I'll take that. Thank you, C-SPAN. Oh, we knew that. Of all Democrats, Senate candidates, Barbara Lee. Don't know her. Mm-hmm. I can mute it. Yeah. I'm kind of curious what they're saying. C-SPAN's been at it a little longer than me. They have the inside track to some of this info. I'm winging it. This is my first covered speaker race. It's not really a race. I mean, it's all but been confirmed that Johnson will be retaining the gavel. McLean chomping away at some. Oh, can we see that? Yeah. Hold on. Still got that rust. Rusty. Okay. Speaker election swearing in. So that's next. Coming up next. Speaker election. That's what C-SPAN's saying. And Musk's threats to primary people. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you're in Wales, UK for a wedding, Alex. Very nice. Well, you're quite the jet setter. News out of the UK. Apparently, there's been some child grooming going on for the past, I don't know, 40 years. That's crazy. And the latest of it is Tommy Robinson has been jailed for insulting the child groomers. And now I think Musk and company are using their prowess to get Tommy Robinson out of prison, jail. I'm not sure what they call it over there. But that's the latest drama. I mean, it's been no shortage of drama, right? It's been 3 days. Yeah. Did anybody else see that short I put out there this morning? It was from Fort Bragg's Special Warfare PSYOP department. And it's not a warm and fuzzy kind of short. I got this from Tony Segura. He's, pretty big guy on Twitter, X, and he does all these, the cell phone data. When there's something that goes down, he's got all the data somehow. And he's been putting out there that there's a reason that Ryan Ruth and this Livelsberger guy and who's the other guy, Jabbar, all went to Fort Bragg in their final months. And it's because there's something going on at Fort Bragg. There's a program out of Fort Bragg. Not a good one. Not one of those good ones. I'm never coming back here again. Oh, really? England ain't what it's cracked up to be? What's going on over in England, Alex? Yeah. I've heard things, right? But I haven't seen them with my own two eyes. Years ago, my father told me, England or London isn't London anymore. But, what does that mean? What does it mean? I don't know. Got to check in with the missus. She's going to have to step in here. What do we got? Hey!
Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The prayer will be offered by Chaplain Kibben.
Would you pray with me? Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. You, O God, made the moon to mark the seasons, and the sun knows the time of its setting. And now as this 118th Congress sets down its last gavel, and the journals are sealed and archived, we give you thanks that in your eternal mercy you have allowed us your goodness to pass over us and privileged us to call on your name for the strength we have needed to sustain us in these years. You have been exceedingly gracious to us and have shown us your steadfast loving kindness time and again. Grant then that all who labored in this vineyard, who gave of their countless hours and unwavering energy, would receive your own well done. The silent champions of the clerk's office, the stalwart sentries of the Sergeant of Arms staff and the Capitol Police, the anonymous artisans and authors, the unheralded men and women whose patient dedication to the people's house has kept the lamp lighted and the nation's business principled and proper. Receive, O Lord, the work of our hands, and grant us the reward of your blessing on the legacy of this 118th Congress. In your eternal name we pray. Amen.
Pursuant to Section 3Z of House Resolution 5, the Journal of the Last Day's Proceedings is approved. The Chair will lead the House in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under Clause 5D of Rule 20, the Chair announces to the House that in light of the resignation of the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Jackson, the whole number of the House is 429. Lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir, as I prepare to be sworn in as Governor of Puerto Rico, I hereby make my official resignation from the U.S. House of Representatives, effective 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, January 1, 2025. Enclosed is the letter I transmitted to Governor Pedro R. Pierluisi of Puerto Rico. It has been an honor to represent the people of Puerto Rico in Congress for the past 8 years. It has also been a privilege to serve with you and our colleagues in the House during this time. I look forward to continuing working together in my new role as governor. Signed sincerely, Jennifer Gonzalez Colon.
No other communications? Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the Chair.
There we go. All right, hold on. I'm trying to get something. Okay, C-SPAN. This is live. Biggs and Crane and Mills? Okay. Let's see, where's the chat at? I lost the chat. There we go. Okay. Oh. Am I still muted? Probably. Hey, no, we're not muted. Don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. There they are. Here we go. It's gonna take me like a week to get my groove back. Chip Roy. So Johnson this morning was, walking through the halls of the Capitol, and a reporter asks him, "So are you gonna give Chip Roy chairman of the Rules Committee in exchange for the votes you need to become Speaker?" And Johnson said, "No," basically. Interesting. So I think what we had here. Hey, it's Mrs. Dave the lawyer. She's going to be helping. I think the best way to approach this is to take the popcorn off of this chair.
Oh, wow. Didn't even know that was there.
And 33 representatives-elect have recorded their presence. A quorum is present. Credentials, regular and form, have been received showing the election of the Honorable Pablo Jose Hernandez Rivera as Resident Commissioner from the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico for a term of 4 years beginning January 3rd, 2025. The Honorable Eleanor Holmes Norton as Delegate from the District of Columbia. The Honorable James C. Moylan as Delegate from Guam. The Honorable Stacey E. Plaskett as Delegate from the Virgin Islands. The Honorable Amua Amada Coleman Radawagan as Delegate from American Samoa, and the Honorable Kimberlyn King Hines as Delegate from the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The clerk is in receipt of a letter from the Honorable Matt Gaetz of the state of Florida, indicating that he will not serve in the House in the 119th Congress. Without objection, the letters relating to his resignation will be printed in the record.
Yeah, I know. Everybody, Mrs. Dave the lawyer.
Pursuant to law and precedent, the next order of business is the election of the Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress. Nominations are now in order. The clerk recognizes the gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and thank you, colleagues. Mr. Clerk, as the chair of the Republican Conference, I am directed by the vote of that election to the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress. The name of the Honorable Mike Johnson, a representative from the state of Louisiana. Welcome, everybody. I am optimistic about our future. On November 5th, the American people gave us a great opportunity to get America back on the right track. They gave us an opportunity to get back to normal and to get back to the real issues that the country faces right now. People want the opportunity to take care of their families. They simply want to provide for their children and give them a prosperous future. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity today to do just that. We have an opportunity to take our country back. With Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and President Donald J. Trump in charge, we have the opportunity to put America first again. We have an opportunity to do something about crime. We have an opportunity to do something about the border. And we have an opportunity to take care of our veterans. We, and every single member in this chamber, and those of you watching at home and on TV, should be looking forward, knowing that America will be respected again. Our country is the last bastion of hope. If we fail, then who? This is why we are focused on the issues that the majority of Americans care about: God, family, country, faith, freedom, and traditional American values. And we should be making it easier for people to achieve the American dream. Over 14 months ago, Mike Johnson took on a daunting task. No speaker is perfect, and no one will ever be. However, achieving perfection requires incremental gains and hard decisions along the way. None of us will get exactly what we want. The fundamental collective goal of this body is to make progress for the American people in which we represent. And we have done just that under Mike's leadership. We should be celebrating and building upon his efforts, our efforts. Mike has remained the same kind and caring person as he was before he assumed this role. He's an honest broker. He shows you his true beliefs at face value. He is steadfast in his values of faith, family, and love of this country. He knows our brightest days are still ahead of us, and I do too. I am hopeful for the next Congress. I am optimistic that we will focus on those issues that people truly care about. I know Mike will be an integral part of this country's comeback. He will lead us through another successful Republican majority. As chairwoman of the Unified House Republican Conference, I can say proudly that we are ready to govern. It is my honor to present our conference's nominee for the Speaker of the People's House, the Honorable Mike Johnson from the state of Louisiana.
Should be good. I wonder if he's going to address what happened in Louisiana on New Year's Day.
The clerk now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I've had a little bit of practice, and clearly my colleagues took notice. I rise to place a name in nomination, but first, I want to acknowledge my colleague from Michigan for her heartfelt and personal nominating speech. As someone who's given a few of these, I can say you served your conference well, Representative McClain. But, Mr. Clerk, today I rise on behalf of the governing majority of the House of Representatives. The American people have sent a strong message that they want their elected leaders working together to tackle the affordability crisis. There is only one leader in this chamber with a track record of compromise, conviction, and compassion. There is only one leader who understands the needs of the working people and has lived the American dream himself and is committed to ensuring its promise for future generations. There is only one leader who knows how to negotiate a bipartisan deal and then stick to that deal. House Democrats are united behind the most powerful legislative leader in this chamber, Hakeem Jeffries of Brooklyn. House Democrats, under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries, are committed to bipartisanship and common sense solutions to America's most pressing challenges. In the face of chaos and dysfunction over the last 2 years, our caucus has kept the government funded, kept our allies protected, and the economy secured from the catastrophic default. In the 119th Congress, we will work with the incoming administration to make life better, safer, and more affordable for working families. And the incoming administration must also recognize that while my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are divided, and while compromise remains a dirty word for so many, Congress won't be able to keep the lights on, let alone pass anything of substance, without the buy-in and blessing of House Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries.
Make no mistake, Democrats want to bring down the cost of living, build more housing, and lower the cost of everyday items like food, medicine, and childcare. Even as the extreme rhetoric rises in this chamber and in the public square, we will not stop advocating for the policies that do the most good for the most people. Because of Hakeem's leadership, we will never abandon our values or sacrifice our bedrock principles of freedom and democracy. When America's enemies abroad threatened our democratic ally, Ukraine, when terrorists attacked our strongest ally, Israel, it was Hakeem Jeffries and House Democrats who delivered the votes and stood tall for America's national security. When the least, the lost, and the left behind were threatened with devastating cuts, Hakeem Jeffries stood with America's mothers, children, and veterans. When the incoming administration wanted to raise the debt limit by trillions of dollars in order to finance tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, leaving middle-class families to pay for the bill and leaving them high and dry, Hakeem Jeffries didn't just say no, he said, that's why there is only one true candidate today for Speaker. So, Mr. Clerk, I am honored to rise today at the direction of the House Democratic Caucus to place into nomination for election to the position of Speaker of the House of Representatives, the pride of Brooklyn, the gentleman from New York, Hakeem Jeffries.
The names of the Honorable Mike Johnson, a representative-elect from the state of Louisiana, and the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, a representative-elect from the state of New York, have been placed in nomination. Are there further nominations? There being no further nominations, the clerk appoints the following tellers. The gentleman from North Carolina, Ms. Fox. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Morelli. The gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Stile. And the gentlewoman from California, Mrs. Torres. The tellers will come forward and take their seats at the desk in front of the Speaker's rostrum.
How are you doing? Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.
Game on. Game on. Loosen the tie.
That's really good stuff. This is what I said. I won't.
You'll hear that. wonder who's gonna win. What a mystery.
Are you guys good down there? Is everybody good? Let me show you how to do it with the numbering. It's the easiest way now. If you watch Mr. Salo, he does check this. He does crazy math over there.
How did we get here though? This is like the best we can do.
Yeah. Slash here, put one here.
These are
Nice track.
the best of the best. These are our representatives. Like, how did we get here?
The roll now will be called, and those responding to their names will indicate by surname the nominee of their choosing. The reading clerk will now call the roll.
Adams. Jeffries. Adderholt. Johnson. Aguilar. Jeffries. Alford. Johnson. Allen. Johnson. Amo. Jeffries. Amode of Nevada. Johnson. Ansari. Jeffries. Arrington. Johnson. Auchincloss. Jeffries. Babin. Johnson. Bacon. Johnson. Baird.
Why are there like so many
Johnson.
kids here today?
Balderson.
Like there's
Johnson.
a lot of kids in the audience.
Ballant. Jeffries. Barr.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Bedagan. Jeffries. Barrett. Barrett. Baumgartner.
You say Barrett or Barrett? Mike Johnson.
Barrett Johnson. Barrett
Barrett Johnson.
Johnson. Baumgartner.
Isn't the suspense killing you? Who's gonna win? We all know.
Johnson.
This is so silly.
Bean of Florida.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Beatty. Jeffries. Begich.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Bell. Jeffries. Bentz. Johnson. Barra. Jeffries. Bergman.
Johnson.
Johnson. Beyer.
Jeffrey.
Jeffries. Bice. Johnson. Biggs of Arizona. Biggs of Arizona. Biggs of South Carolina.
President Trump's endorsed candidate, Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Bilirakis. Johnson. Bishop.
Jeffries. Bogert.
Let us now, Mr. Speaker, Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Bonamici.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Bost. Johnson. Boyle of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. Rakeen. Johnson. Bresnahan. Johnson. Brown. Jeffries. Brownlee. Jeffries. Buchanan. Johnson. Budzinski. Jeffries. Burgett. Johnson. Burleson. Johnson. Bynum. Jeffries. Calvert. Johnson. Kamick. Johnson. Carbajal. Jeffries. Carey. Johnson. Carson. Carson. Carter of Georgia.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Carter of Louisiana. Jeffries. Carter of Texas. Johnson. Kassar. Jeffries. Case. Jeffries. Caston. Jeffries. Castor of Florida. Jeffries. Castro of Texas. Jeffries. Shifferless McCormick. Jeffries. Chu. Jeffries. Ciscomani.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Cisneros. Jeffries. Clark of Massachusetts. Jeffries. Clark of New York. Jeffries. Cleaver. Jeffries.
Ooh, it's getting close.
Klein. Johnson. Cloud. Cloud. Clyburn. Jeffries. Clyde. Clyde. Cohen. Jeffries. Cole. Johnson. Collins.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Comer. Johnson. Conaway. Jeffries. Connolly.
Mr. Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Correa.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Costa.
Gentleman from Brooklyn, Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Courtney.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Craig.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Crane. Johnson. Crake.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Crawford.
Johnson.
Johnson. Crenshaw.
Johnson.
Johnson. Crockett.
Time doesn't say. Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Crow.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Quare.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Davids of Kansas.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Davidson. Johnson. Davis of Illinois. Jeffries. Davis of North Carolina. Jeffries. Dean of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. DeGette. Jeffries. De La Cruz.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. DeLauro. Jeffries. Delbene. Jeffries. DeLuzio. Jeffries. DeSaulnier. Jeffries. Desjardins. Johnson. Dexter. Jeffries. Diaz-Balart. Johnson. Deagle. Jeffries. Duggett. Jeffries. Donalds. Johnson. Downey.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Dunn of Florida. Johnson. Edwards.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Alfred. Jeffries. Elsie. Johnson. Emmer. Johnson. Escobar. Jeffries. Espaillat. Jeffries. Estes.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Evans of Colorado.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Evans of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. Ezel.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Fallon.
Fourth District of Texas votes strongly for Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Fedorchak.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Feenstra.
Johnson.
Johnson. Fields. Jeffries. Figures. Jeffries. Finstad. Johnson. Fishbach. Johnson. Fitzgerald.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Fitzpatrick.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Flashman.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Fletcher. Jeffries. Flood.
Johnson.
Johnson. Fung.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Foster. Jeffries. Fushi. Jeffries. Fox. Johnson. Lois Frankel. Jeffries. Scott Franklin. Johnson. Friedman. Jeffries. Frost. Jeffries. Fry. Johnson. Fulcher.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Garamendi. Jeffries. Garbarino. Johnson. Garcia of California. Jeffries. Garcia of Illinois. Jeffries. Garcia of Texas. Jeffries. Gill of Texas.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Gillen. Jeffries. Jimenez. Johnson. Golden of Maine. Jeffries. Goldman of New York. Jeffries. Goldman of Texas. Johnson. Gomez. Jeffries.
So I really can't believe that
Tony
we came
Gonzalez.
up with a better
Johnson.
candidate. So many Republicans were speaking pointing out about the
Vicente
Johnson
Gonzalez.
to be Speaker of the House again, but
Jeffries.
nobody came up with any other
Goodens.
candidates.
Johnson.
Boring, to be honest.
Goodlander. Jeffries. Gosar. Gosar. Gottheimer. Jeffries. Graves. Johnson. Gray. Jeffries. Green of Tennessee.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Green of Texas.
And still I rise for the preferred candidate of liberty and justice for all, the hope and dream of his faith. Order.
The gentleman may respond by survey.
Who is that? This is who we elect.
Green of Texas. Jeffries. Green of Georgia. Johnson. Griffith. Johnson. Grijalba. Jeffries. Grothman. Johnson. Guest. Johnson. Guthrie. Johnson. Hageman.
I love Nancy
Johnson. Holiday of Arizona. Johnson. Carter of California. Jeffries. Herodopoulos. Johnson. Harrigan. Johnson. Harris of Maryland. Harris of Maryland. Harris of North Carolina. Johnson. Harshbarger. Johnson. Hayes. Jeffries. Hearn of Oklahoma. Johnson. Higgins of Louisiana. Johnson. Hill of Arkansas. Johnson. Himes. Jeffries.
I think at first
Henson.
people want to work for the government or serve because they
Johnson.
actually want to help their community.
Forsberg.
And it's really noble.
Jeffries.
And I definitely think,
Houchin.
you know, there's a lot of people that want to run
Johnson.
solely for
Houlihan.
wanting to help and, you know, create
Jeffries.
something positive in their community.
Poyer.
But then they get in and they
Jeffries.
realize
Hoyle
you know,
of
there's
Oregon.
not much you can do because
Jeffries.
the public doesn't
Hudson.
necessarily want that change. Or they get in
Johnson.
and then they're just totally
Huffman.
corrupted or drunk with
Jeffries.
power.
Huizinga.
So I don't think that everybody
Johnson.
that gets into government is
Hunt.
bad or nefarious.
Johnson.
But I think a lot of them are. I think we definitely
Hearn
figured
of
that out
Colorado.
this year.
Johnson. Issa.
Speaker of the House, Speaker Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Ivy. Jeffries. Jack.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Jackson of Illinois.
The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Jackson of Texas.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Jacobs.
I mean, the other thing why people want to work
Jeffries.
for the government, I mean, it's somewhat of a cushy job to get, you know,
James.
a lot of benefits. They
Johnson.
definitely have like the best health
Jayapal.
insurance and various pensions
Jeffries.
and retirement and whatnot.
Jeffries.
So there's definitely a lot of benefits for working for
Jeffries.
And also, it's like very hard to get fired supposedly when you work for the government. It's like they don't really fire anybody.
Johnson
like, if you
of
mess
Georgia.
up, you just like get promoted to another
Jeffries.
area.
Johnson of Louisiana. Johnson.
Oh, smart that one. Maybe he'll get to go to another UFC game with Tucker and Trumpy. And
Johnson of
Kid
South
Rock.
Dakota. Johnson. Johnson of Texas. Jeffries. Jordan. Johnson. Joyce of Ohio. Johnson. Joyce of Pennsylvania.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Kim Lagardove. Jeffries. Captor. Jeffries. Kane.
Alexandra, it's so
Johnson.
sad that that's
Keating.
really what our government has become. It's
Jeffries.
not supposed to be like that.
Kelly
Our
of
government's
Illinois.
not supposed to be this big, and it's supposed to work for the people.
Jeffries.
It's become so
Kelly of
opposite that
Mississippi.
at this point. Our
Johnson.
government has definitely been
Kelly of Pennsylvania.
weaponized its
Johnson.
citizens against the citizens.
Kennedy of New York. Jeffries. Kennedy of Utah. Johnson. Khanna. Jeffries. Kiggins of Virginia. Johnson. Kiley of California. Johnson. Kim. Johnson. Not.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah, we're so far,
Krishnamurti.
Daniel, from what
Jeffries.
America is supposed to be. Or
Custom.
maybe it never was. Maybe we were just lied
Johnson.
to. But you know,
LaHood.
how our government and our country
Johnson.
operates now is not
La Lota.
what we learned about in school.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
Doesn't feel like we live in a quote-unquote free country whatsoever.
La Malfa.
Born on Friday. Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Lanceman.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Langworthy. Johnson. Larson of Washington. Jeffries. Larson of Connecticut. Jeffries. Latimer. Jeffries. Latta.
Johnson.
Yeah,
Johnson.
Stacey, I totally agree. Our government is
Lawler.
way too big right now.
The Honorable Mike Johnson.
Never supposed
Johnson.
to be this big.
Lee of Florida. Johnson. Lee of Nevada. Jeffries. Lee of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. Ledger Fernandez.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Letlow. Johnson. Levin.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Ricardo.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Lou.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Lofgren. Jeffries. Loudermilk.
Matt, I agree with you.
Johnson.
He said I once watched
Lucas.
beige paint dries, just
Johnson.
about as exciting.
Luna.
Just like is anything fun gonna happen?
Johnson.
We need
Latrell.
we need help. Wouldn't it?
Johnson.
I wish
Lynch.
Hulk Hogan would run for Congress.
Jeffries.
He should take Vern
Mace.
Buchanan's seat. That would be
Johnson.
amazing, right?
McKenzie.
Hogan for Congress.
Johnson.
District 16.
Magaziner.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries.
He would definitely
Maliotakis.
beat Vern.
Johnson. Malloy. Johnson. Mann.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Mannion.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Massey.
Tom Emmer.
Emmer.
Scott Baio moved to District 16.
Matsui.
He could run for
Jeffries.
Buchanan seat.
McBath. Jeffries. McBride. Jeffries. McCall. Johnson. McLean.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
No, Alexandra, he's not running, but I think
McLean
he should.
Delaney.
He could beat Vern Buchanan. He
Jeffries.
lives in Vern Buchanan's district.
McClellan.
I think Hulk Hogan should run for Congress. I think that'd be
Jeffries.
amazing.
McClintock.
Thank
Johnson.
you, Matt.
McCollum. Jeffries. McCormick. Johnson.
That's amazing.
McDonald Rivet.
Yeah, Scott Baio seems like a nice guy.
Jeffries.
I haven't met him yet, though.
McDowell.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. McGarvey.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. McGovern.
I agree with you, Matt. I love
Jeffries.
Nancy.
McGuire.
President Trump won in the electoral vote. I'm proud to vote for Mike Johnson.
Johnson. McIver.
You know, a lot of celebrities,
Jeffries.
you know, this year jumped on the
Meeks.
Trump bandwagon, but if you guys remember,
Jeffries.
like, you know,
Menendez.
2020,
Jeffries.
2021 beyond, like a lot of
Mang.
celebrities did not speak out
Jeffries.
for Trump in favor of him.
Mesmer.
And Scott Baio was one of the celebrities
Johnson.
that always supported Trump.
Muser. Johnson. Mfume.
Alexandra, Matt wants to
Jeffries.
be a reading clerk because he
Miller
wants to
of
meet
Illinois.
Nancy Mace.
Johnson. Miller of Ohio.
Mike Johnson.
I would talk
Johnson.
about Charles in charge.
Miller of
personally,
West
if I
Virginia.
had a chat with Scott Baio.
Johnson. Miller Meeks.
The Honorable Representative and Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Mills. Johnson. Min.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Molinar. Johnson. Moore of Alabama. Johnson. Moore of North Carolina.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Moore of Utah.
Steve Johnson.
Johnson. Moore of Wisconsin.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Moore of West Virginia.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Moran.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Morelli.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Morrison. Jeffries. Moskowitz. Moskowitz. Jeffries. Moulton.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Mervan. Jeffries. Mullen.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Murphy.
Johnson.
Johnson. Nadler.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Neal.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Nagoose.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Nails. Johnson. Newhouse.
Mr. Johnson.
Johnson. Norcross. Jeffries. Norman.
Jordan.
Jordan. None of Iowa.
The Honorable Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Obernolte.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Ocasio-Cortez. Jeffries. Ogles.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Olszewski. Jeffries. Omar. Jeffries. Onder.
Mike Johnson.
I don't know
Johnson.
who the others voted
Owens.
for.
Johnson. Pallone.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries.
Matt, that's why I think a lot of
Palmer.
attorneys end up becoming politicians, because they're kind of used to that
Palmer.
cutthroat, vicious
Johnson.
behavior.
Panetta. Jeffries. Pappas. Jeffries. Pelosi.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a certain type of personality to maintain it. You really can't care what other people think of you or
Jeffries.
what people say about you. Because it doesn't matter, you can have a very clean record, but they're still going to make up stuff to go after you. And as a man, you know, they just throw out, you know, sexual allegation against you if they don't like you.
Jeffries. Perry. Johnson. Peters. Jeffries. Pedersen. Jeffries. Pfluger. Johnson. Pingree. Jeffries. Pocan. Jeffries. Poe. Jeffries. Presley. Presley. Jeffries. Quigley. Jeffries. Ramirez. Jeffries. Randall. Jeffries. Raskin. Jeffries. Reschenthaler. Johnson. Riley of New York. Jeffries. Rivas. Jeffries.
So,
Rogers of Alabama.
Yeah, there's going to be another
Mike Johnson.
Johnson.
He doesn't
Rogers
have
of
the votes.
Kentucky. Johnson. Rose. Johnson. Ross. Jeffries. Rouser. Johnson. Roy. Roy. Ruiz. Jeffries. Ruley. Johnson. Rutherford. Johnson. Ryan. Jeffries. Salazar. Johnson. Salinas. Jeffries. Sanchez. Sanchez. Jeffries. Scalise. Johnson. Scanlon. Jeffries. Schakowsky. Jeffries. Schmidt. Johnson. Schneider. Jeffries. Skolton. Jeffries. Schreier. Jeffries. Schweikert. Johnson. Austin Scott. Johnson. David Scott. Jeffries. Scott of Virginia. Jeffries. Self. Donalds. Sessions. Johnson. Sewell. Jeffries. Sherman. Jeffries. Sherrill. Jeffries. Shreve. Johnson. Simon. Simon. Jeffries. Simpson. Simpson. Johnson. Smith of Missouri. Johnson. Smith of Nebraska. Johnson. Smith of New Jersey. Johnson. Smith of Washington. Jeffries. Smucker. Johnson. Sorensen. Jeffries. Soto. Jeffries. Sparts. Sparts. Johnson. Stansbury. Jeffries. Stanton. Jeffries. Stauber. Johnson. Stefanik. Johnson. Style. Johnson. Stubbe. Johnson. Stevens. Jeffries. Strickland. Jeffries. Strong. Johnson. Stutzman. Johnson. Subramaniam. Jeffries. Suozzi. Jeffries. Swalwell. Jeffries. Sykes. Jeffries. Takano. Jeffries. Taylor. Johnson. Tenney. Johnson. Tanadar. Jeffries. Thompson of California. Jeffries. Thompson of Mississippi. Jeffries. Thompson of Pennsylvania. Johnson. Tiffany. Johnson. Timmons. Johnson. Titus. Jeffries. Talib. Jeffries. Takuda. Jeffries. Tonko. Jeffries. Torres of California. Jeffries. Torres of New York. Jeffries. Trahan. Jeffries. Tran. Jeffries. Turner of Ohio. Johnson. Turner of Texas. Jeffries. Underwood. Jeffries. Valadeo. Johnson. Van Drew. Johnson. Van Dyne. Johnson. Van Orden.
Mike Johnson.
Johnson. Vargas.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Vasquez.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. VC.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Velasquez. Jeffries.
Would it be messed up if like a couple of Republicans voted for Jeffries and then he won?
Wagner. Johnson. Wahlberg.
Johnson.
Johnson. Waltz. Waltz. Wasserman Schultz. Jeffries. Waters. Jeffries. Watson Coleman. Jeffries. Weber of Texas.
James Michael Johnson, Louisiana's favorite son.
Johnson. Webster of Florida. Johnson. Westerman. Johnson. Whitesides.
Matt, what did she want you to do instead?
Jeffries. Weed.
I told Dave we needed to stream this.
Johnson.
He didn't want to.
Williams of Georgia. Jeffries. Williams of Texas. Johnson. Wilson of Florida. Jeffries. Wilson of South Carolina. Johnson. Whitman. Johnson. Womack. Johnson. Yackham. Johnson. Zinke. Johnson.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from the Virgin Islands seek recognition?
Speaker, I have a parliamentary inquiry. I note that the names of the representatives from the Americas Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the District of Columbia were not called, representing collectively 4 million Americans. Mr. Speaker, collectively the largest per capita of veterans in this country.
Does the gentlelady have a parliamentary
I asked
inquiry?
why they were not called. Have some respect. It's not going to take...
Why weren't they called? You're asking this now.
Gentlelady is recognized.
I asked why they were not called from the parliamentarian, please.
Delegates-elect and the resident commissioner-elect are not qualified to vote. Representatives-elect are the only individuals qualified to vote in the election of a speaker. As provided in Section 36 of the House Rules and Manual, the speaker is elected by a majority of the members-elect voting by surname.
This body and this nation has a territories and a colonies problem. What was supposed to be temporary has now effectively become permanent. We must do something about this problem so that these 4 million...
Okay, but like right here is not the time to bring it up because there's nothing that's going to be done about it right now. All political theater.
The reading clerk will now call the names of the representatives-elect who did not answer the first call of the roll.
Maybe she has a point, but this isn't really the venue to bring that point up.
Biggs of Arizona. Johnson.
But a state is different
Carson.
than a territory.
Jeffries. Cloud. Johnson. Clyde.
Or maybe
Clyde.
some of those territories should go back to voting in a state. Like maybe DC shouldn't be able to govern itself. Maybe, you know, DC's votes need to be merged with like Maryland or Virginia or something.
Gosar. Harris of Maryland.
Johnson.
Johnson. Roy. Johnson. Waltz.
Johnson.
Johnson.
If there are any representatives-elect who did not answer the call of the roll, they may come to the well and vote at this time.
Just stand right there.
Just say Clyde.
Just say Clyde.
Just
Clyde. Clyde. Gosar. Johnson.
So the difference between a state and a territory, like Puerto Rico or Guam, lies in their political status, governance, and representation in the U.S. federal system. So a state is a fully integrated part of the United States with equal representation and rights under the Constitution. They have what's called sovereignty. And states share sovereignty with the federal government. They have their own state constitutions, their own state laws, and it does not conflict with the federal government. Each state has representation in Congress, including 2 U.S. senators per state, and a proportional number of representatives in the House based on their population. Residents can vote in presidential elections. States receive federal funding for programs and infrastructure often on par with federal tax contributions. A territory is a region that is under the U.S. sovereignty but does not have the same political or legal status as a state. Sovereignty, territories are governed by Congress under the territorial clause of the U.S. Constitution. They do not have the same degree of self-governance as states. Representation. Territories send a non-voting delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives. Residents cannot vote in presidential elections unless they reside in a state. No representation in the U.S. Senate. Territories often receive some federal funding, but sometimes at lower rates or under different rules than states. Residents typically pay fewer federal taxes, but may still be subject to other local taxes. So here's an example. Puerto Rico and Guam territories. Puerto Rico is a U.S. commonwealth. It has its own constitution and a greater autonomy in local governance than some territories. But residents are U.S. citizens but cannot vote for president unless they move to the states. Guam is an unincorporated territory. It's governed by our federal laws, but it does have some local autonomy. The residents are U.S. citizens, but they cannot vote for president. So these territories, they can become states, and what they can do is, one, they have to have a formal application that is approved by Congress. Two, they have to meet certain conditions set by Congress. And three, they have to have the territory ratified by the people. So, steps if they want to become states. But that's just what our laws are. So if you don't live in a state, then you can't vote for president, you can't have a senate. It's just how our laws and our constitution. But these territories do have the opportunity, if they wanted, to apply the
This is live coverage on C-SPAN of the opening of the 119th Congress. If you're watching along with us, you can see there that Representative Johnson does not have the votes to be Speaker yet on this first round of votes. The tally,
All right, guys.
216 for Johnson, 215 for Jeffries, 3 for others.
Real.
That adds
They're
up to
reconvene,
434.
But,
Matthew Green
is
a professor of politics at Catholic University. He is with us, and he is, I'd love to show those 4 pages of math that you have been doing throughout this vote count. What happened?
Well, we knew that there were some Republicans who were unhappy with